So, most of the people who offered to help were working with the Bollingers. It's pretty easy to tell. Mostly because, well, like with Karamia, she's the one that hooked me up with Danica Garner. Danica Garner is the one that hooked me up with Shelly. Shelly didn't want me to tell Danica that we were talking. Except Danica is the one who hooked us up. I was able to verify Miss Shelly's phone number because it was the one that Alicia called me on the 29th of December of 2017. There are actual individuals involved in all of this shit, and I make these videos hoping someone will listen. The rules are different for me than they are for others. They don't judge me by the same measure. Things that are okay for you, I should go without. I should be happy without. Meanwhile, when you are without those things, you freak the fuck out and it's acceptable. I'm tired of getting calls about give me money, give me money. All of my money went to going to court dates for public pretenders who weren't doing their jobs and refused to. Somebody should have done their job. Somebody. Lisette Brown, the police, somebody. Jalen. But then there's people's assumptions. Their assumption that Jalen was going to be my advocate. And that I owed these people somehow to jump through their hoops for a service that I wasn't receiving. There's conversations with multiple people who tried to make reports, and the police made every excuse they couldn't, but they were willing to take those reports from the Bollinger side. Between taking a look, at least pretending for a moment that I was a human being. That's all I wanted from Maddie, Alicia, and Natalie. Just be my friend for one day, long enough to understand what's going on and ask these people to stop. I don't mean to have panic attacks. There's reasons that I have them. It's not my goddamn imagination. It's not fucking faking. One woman, she said, Sean, I'd love to help. I said, well, help me to report the threats against me. She said, well, I haven't seen any. So I sent her screenshots of a bunch of the threats that I was receiving, and she blocked me for sending her screenshots of the threats that I was receiving. For Shannon told me almost every night that she would listen to me. And then almost every night, alright, not almost every night, literally every night, I end up listening to her. Sometimes for hours on end. She couldn't listen to me for an hour. She couldn't listen to me for 5 minutes. She couldn't listen to me for 3 sentences. She's got her own shit in her head. Instead of running 10 million miles an hour in your head, shut the fuck up and listen. It's difficult enough for me to try to remember the 10,000 fucking things that have gone wrong. The 10,000 things that people promised and didn't fucking deliver. When? When are you gonna fucking do these things? When are you gonna listen to me, Shannon? When are you going to make the time to do that? You're fucking not! Meanwhile, I loved her enough as a human being to listen to her every night, often for hours on end. I loved Rick enough to listen to him bitch about her. But I'm not allowed to be overwhelmed. I want to scream. I'm in Starbucks there. I'm wanting to scream. Try not to pace because I don't want people getting nervous. Because then they get bad assumptions in their head and they do bad shit. I don't want to hurt people. I want people to listen, to pretend I'm a human being long enough to take a look at my side. But everybody's too fucked up. Everybody's too fucked up on assumptions. And yeah, I make assumptions too based on the information at hand. I love these people because they're people, but I hate them for how they treated me. See, I tried to explain to Shannon a couple of times that her yelling at Rick was shutting me down. She listens alright when she's sober, but she's not sober often. She's never sober at night. During the day, she's sober and busy, and I have to understand. But they don't make that same effort to understand when I'm overwhelmed. Like, I can't make any of the calls to the police that I need to make there because she doesn't want anyone hearing her screaming at her kid. She thinks she'll get in trouble for screaming at her kid. She's screaming because she's getting her fucking hair pulled. She's screaming because she's getting bitten. You know? Meanwhile, her fears are somehow legitimate and mine aren't. Meanwhile, the things that I was afraid would happen fucking happened. That's why there are supposed to be professionals who are paid for this shit. Lisette Brown was supposed to be one of those professionals. When I let her know what happened with the police, she blew me off. She's supposed to be a mandatory reporter. So's Miss Jerry, by the way. They wouldn't mandatorily report shit. You know, I let Miss Jerry know about what was happening at Sally Treon's with that poor girl getting dragged through the house and kicked in the face. It's because she's a mandatory reporter. These people wanted to justify the way that they treated me, but then they wanted to whine like mules when I treated them the same way. For Shannon being overwhelmed because her daughter is the way that she is, it's alright for Shannon to be overwhelmed. It's not alright for me. Her daughter worked pretty well with me. I was more calm than Shannon. When Shannon was being assaulted, she screamed. When Rick was being assaulted, he got very physical. Grabbed Zanny by the throat. Zanny hated him. Hated him. I don't want people to take care of me. There are supposed to be government services you pay your taxes for. But you pay those taxes for services that don't actually exist. Services that don't actually work without someone in person to go in with you. I'm difficult to deal with when I'm suffering from sensory overload, and I'm not allowed. I haven't seen my friends in a positive situation in over 2 years now. Over at Miss Peach's, it's pretty positive. Not while A-Bear is there. He's an asshole. He's selfish as fuck. So, most of the time when I went over there to see Miss Peaches, A-Bear was there. And when he wasn't, I had to understand Miss Peaches needs downtime too. So her downtime, her and Raja, they played video games like I do. But they did it together, They're interacting. They're interacting with each other. I'm sitting on the couch wishing that Miss Peaches had time. But she's a mom. She needs her downtime, so I allow it. Not like I got much choice, it's her house. But I don't push the issue because I understand. When I get quiet, people think it's alright. People think it's okay. But when I'm quiet, that's because I'm not allowed to speak, and I shut up, and I stay quiet. I can't speak because the kids are there, or I can't speak because they're having their downtime, or I can't speak because I'll get snapped at. And I'm in a subservient position in all these places. It's not my place, so I have to take the abuse. Meanwhile, they don't see it as abuse when they do it, but when I do it back, oh yes, I'm the devil, aren't I? The harder I tried to get someone to listen, the more I got abused. People said to let it go. I had let it go. I let it go when I left Virginia. It hurt, yes. I lost a lot of fucking people in Virginia. A lot of people I care a lot about. But it was people who had never been in that position. People who had never been in it. People who make excuses why those who are in that position want it, need it, chose it, or deserved it. So I get tortured. I get tortured for hoping that I can get treated with the same decency that I treat others with. But I don't want to treat people decent anymore. I just want them to go away and leave me alone. Then they want money. They want to put warrants out for me. They want to prevent me from having an honest day in court. And now those court dates can be used against me even though I wasn't allowed to go. They want money from me or they're going to lock me up because I don't have any money. I don't have any money because all of my money got taken for not having any money. They did everything they could to guarantee that I couldn't get a day in court. Even my public pretenders. But nobody's gonna look into this because there's no outcry. My dad doesn't give a shit. My mom doesn't give a shit. My family is too busy. These other people who called me family, they're too busy. They're too busy because they have actual families. They're allowed to scream at me and yell at me and blow up at me. I've spent over 2 years trying to get someone to listen without talking over me and interrupting me and making it all about them. Or going out of their way to take everything as a personal goddamn insult because I don't text perfectly. Or because when I'm frustrated I don't speak perfectly. Remain calm with me, or don't expect me to remain calm. Don't blow up at me and expect me to not blow up. I didn't talk over Shannon the whole time I was there. She talked over me. My dad, I tried to explain to him what was going on with everything, and he just wants to tell me that I'm wrong without looking into it himself. And then he told me how he interacts with the homeless. How he thinks that he's helping. And I listen to his stories, and I know what it's like from the other side. My dad's cruel to the homeless, and he doesn't care. My dad's focus while I was up there was on something that isn't going to help me. I already knew that I wasn't going to get my disability back in Colorado. He tried telling me, well, you're in a new state, you're in a different state. It's different here. I looked it up. It wasn't different there. He didn't want to hear that. Meanwhile, his help put me in a more vulnerable situation. He wanted to scream at me and yell at me for 45 minutes and then complain that I yelled back. I was crying and my dad called me a pussy. Started yelling at me. I get overwhelmed. I need to step away from it. But then when I step away, he yells at me some more. Sean, get back here! Come down those stairs right now! Dan, back me up on this! Sean, I love you. So I'm gonna abuse you! And it drives me crazy. When is it my turn to talk, Shannon? When is it my turn to talk, Dad? Instead of assuming the worst in me and assuming that I'm wrong, find out. I begged these people for help. I asked nicely. And then I begged. And then I screamed. Be patient, Sean. Be patient, Sean. The more patient I am, the more abuse I have to endure, the more evidence is lost or no longer admissible in court. The more of my belongings get taken. The more I have to start over again and again and again. And people who never had to start over tell me I wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it.